is light work. Let me testify. It's gonna be the year that I break every cycle. Let me testify, right hand on the Bible. I was tripping, chasing every empty title. Now I'm locked in, living like a walking Bible. He ain't failed me.
So there's a kind of grief that nobody really prepares you for. It's not the breakup grief after we've been dating someone for years. It's not the grief that we feel after we lose someone that we love. It's the we still see each other every day or every other day or whatever it may be, but we're not the same. That type of grief. At some point in time in your life, you look around and you realize some of the people you grew up with don't quite fit into who you're becoming. And what makes that hard is nothing dramatic necessarily had to happen. There wasn't a betrayal. There was no big blow up. It was just distance. It was this shift. It was this silence. It was this growth that was taking place. And when you start asking questions you don't always say out loud, such as, am I changing too much? Am I being disloyal? Or am I just outgrowing something I don't know how to grieve? A lot of us begin to carry that, and it shows up for us. This is going to happen potentially with the people we love, the people we grew up with, people who know versions of us we don't even live in anymore. And the hardest part is, again, it wasn't this fallout. You just kind of grew out.
This is the YesWork podcast, and we are your hosts. I'm Lady B.
I am Dr. DQ.
And I am Dr. Blaire.
First of all, I'm so excited because this is the first episode of season 2. Welcome back, ladies.
Yes. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.
And I think it's so fitting to start this first episode of season 2 on the topic of friendships.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for this one because I think that this is one of those conversations where God meets us right in the middle of something we usually try to avoid. We talk a lot about healing. We talk a lot about obedience and alignment, but we don't always talk about what happens when your alignment starts to shift some of those relationships. And I'm gonna let that sit because some of y'all might be, I had to kind of shift in my
Okay,
seat
let it settle.
a
Let it
little
settle.
bit. I need to sit with you a little bit because maybe y'all didn't hear it clearly that something we don't always talk about is what happens when your alignment, so the direction that you going in life, the path, the journey, everything that you take, it can actually shift your own relationships. And I want to say this, up front, nothing about this conversation today is about making others your enemy. We're not talking about that. This is about being honest about what growth can actually do to your connections that you've had with people, either in your past or the connections that you have with people today. Because sometimes God He's not just changing you, right? He's also changing what fits around you. And that's where we're going today. So if this sounds like something that you are interested in, go ahead, like, share, and subscribe. And let's get into it.
Let's get into it. So, here's what's actually happening when friendships start to shift. So, we know that friendships don't always break. Sometimes they change, they evolve. They stop fitting into the mold that they kind of grew into, that they grew to become. And what's confusing is that honestly, you can still love someone deeply, you can still care about them, you can still have those fond memories, but it just still doesn't fit in the current season of your life or even their life. So we tend to get caught up in this loop where when we see our friendships evolving and changing, sometimes it becomes a question of our loyalty. So are we outgrowing people? Should I stay the same so I don't lose the people I love? Because sometimes real good, true friends are really hard to find. So what's actually happening possibly is that loyalty is negotiating with alignment and sometimes even with purpose. So your loyalty will encourage you to stay, be the same, but alignment is telling you to grow. And we internalize that tension sometimes as guilt because we see things changing, we see things evolving, and where we are with that friend just feels so good and it feels so comfortable that sometimes you're just kind of wondering, like, what's wrong with me? Like, what's wrong? What's happening that this friendship is changing? So, we're going to talk a little bit about loyalty versus alignment, love versus access, and let's get into that discussion today.
I want to even just acknowledge, Dr. DQ, what you said as far as comfort, because I think we will all get caught up in doing things in a routine and having a habit or whatever it may be because it's comfortable. And so when we start doing things that are different, we don't like switching up routine. I mean, some people do. Some people are really spontaneous. I'm not one of those people. I
Mhm.
like a good pattern. And we will get caught up in that level of like, well, this is just what I do, and this is just what we do. And
Mhm.
there eventually will come this moment where like, this ain't as fun as it used to be. Or I think about even me just going out to the club, y'all. Let me tell
Mm.
you how, if someone were to ask me today, I'd be like, I would have to take a nap. I wouldn't know what to wear. My closet ain't
Mhm.
even situated for that no more. I'd have to go deep back into like, I got to go into some bins. It's just, but at one point in time, I may have not necessarily enjoyed going out, but I did it because, like, that's what we did. In grad school, that's what we did. We went out. I partied more in grad school than I did in
I was
undergrad. I was
like, "You
outside.
didn't enjoy that?"
Oh, no, I enjoyed it then. Nah, I had a good time then. I had a good
Okay.
time then. But when I went to when I moved to North Carolina, there got to a point where I was like, I'm tired. I don't really
Uh-huh.
want to do this no more. But it was comfort. I was like, well, this is what I do.
Mm.
So it's important that we think about like what we do in those moments when we realize like things aren't the same anymore, or I don't talk to this person the same. I don't interact with this person the same. And so there's this realization that we're grieving to a certain degree a version of ourselves that those friendships were built around. They were built around, me going outside. And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be that outside era. It could have been it was built around because I was a student. And so I had,
Mhm.
an intellectual or an academic crew. We all got different types of people.
Mhm.
Even I think about sorority life. Like when I first crossed to where I
Yeah.
am now, she different. She is different. So
Right.
there's a grieving there that takes place, again, maybe even around the relationships, but just around the version of you that's different. So when we grow, it exposes something that is uncomfortable. And not everyone is really supposed to come with us in the same way that they knew us. But it's kind of like that holding on, like a leech, right? We hold on to it. So think about how many of us grew up with neighborhood friends that were everything, all the things. That was our identity. I got a friend, y'all, that I've since second grade. Shout out. Love you, Sasha. Right?
Yes.
Yes. My matron of honor, I think I don't know what she was. I think she was a matron of honor. Yes.
She was.
We in different cities now. We got different careers. We're in different spaces as far as our spiritual journey and all those things. So like what do we do with that? As I'm growing in my faith and even family dynamics, right? I feel like, having kids and then you got the friends that don't have no kids or the friends that are single and you married, even group chats. Like, let's be honest, some of y'all are in these group chats and you haven't emotionally been in it for 2 years, but you still respond or you do the little heart or you just in there, you engaging. We talk about that actually in the next
Sweet.
couple of episodes.
Wait,
Girl,
first
no. They got that group chat on mute. Okay, they
Oh,
ain't they ain't got notification in a couple of years.
that's real. I got some group chats. I don't I look and I just put it down because I don't have the capacity to shift. So even I think about family friends, right? Aunties, cousins, church relationships. We were raised in environments where loyalty sometimes really outweighed that alignment piece. So we stay
Mhm.
connected out of what feels like obligation or loyalty, and it's not an actual connection. So I want to give opportunity for us to like reflect on that and think about if you've ever outgrown someone. Again, wasn't no conflict, wasn't no fight, but you felt a difference and maybe you even grieved a little bit as far as the relationship. I gotta have Lady B answer first because she back here. If y'all could see us, she giggling. She got her coffee mug in her hand. She leaned back when I
Mhm.
said that. She done took a sip.
Yes, I am. I'm laughing because and yes, I am sipping on some hot tea. My throat is feeling a little feeling a little parched.
Mm.
But this is such a good it's a good discussion. And when you talk about friends and family, because it's something, I didn't think about necessarily the family, but the family,
Mm.
you have that component too. Like we trying to make this work and it's still something is not working. But Dr. Blair, to answer your question, many of you who have listened to season one, I mean, you probably can tell my personality is I tend to be a bubbly person, outgoing person, social, and I'm a people pleaser. And so I've had several friendships, right? And I think that I don't like letting them go,
Mm.
right? I don't enjoy the separation because what happens is then in the past I have been in that place where I'm asking, well, what did I do wrong? It's like
Oh,
going back to this
wow.
whole dating one-on-one, like when the guy start ghosting you and it's like, well,
Talking
what
about it's
happened?
not you, it's me. Mhm.
It's not you, it's me. Like, what happened to the friend? And so there's actually, and I laughed because there's one particular friend. We not naming names here. It's because maybe she's a listener. Who knows? But I had one particular friend that I was pretty close with, in high school. And I recall like it was a close relationship, but when I got into a serious dating relationship, moving closer towards marriage, that friendship started to shift. And I don't know, obviously, I understand that friendships begin to take the looks and it changes, it
Yeah.
evolves, throughout your seasons of and time of being together. And I think that's just a beautiful thing about friendship. And hopefully, most of our friendships are evolving, but this particular friendship sucked my energy
Mm.
or was looking for more from me than what I could provide at that time. And I tried to be a very balanced person and I tried to like, okay, I got this new man over here. Let me do this dating and get to know, but I also, yes, I want to also check on my friends and we all have been in that situation. We know that that's hard, right? That it becomes hard to balance that out. But yeah, I have encountered that. However, I've also been on the flip side of having Dr. DQ as a friend for many, many years.
Yeah.
I don't even know how many years it's been now.
Girl, back to middle school somewhere.
I don't know. Yeah.
Somewhere.
So and I would say that even our friendship has evolved or changed over
Mhm.
time, right? It changes as, again, with marriage, with dating, moving across different states. We were used to being together at one point in the state of North Carolina, and then I took off and moved to Iowa, right? And so
Mm.
those dynamics really do impact your relationship long term. So, yeah, that's what I'll say about that. I have another thought, but I'll add that later.
I just want to say, because I think I said it in the first season, this is what I'm talking about as far as loyal friends, because don't nobody want to move to Michigan. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I
Girl.
check your friends, do a friend audit. If your friends ain't willing to move to the Midwest for you, are they good friends? It's just something to think about. The looks these girls are giving me, oh my goodness. I just
I
wanted to
came to
put it out
visit.
there.
Oh,
I
yeah,
came to
visit.
visit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm used to being in states where they shut down for a foot of snow.
Snow.
That's
Mm,
not gonna
ain't that
happen.
the truth?
That's not gonna happen up there. No.
Did you have something to add, Dr. DQ?
Yeah, so I have had one particular friendship I'm thinking about that has changed. And it changed because, in my opinion, I was doing all of the reaching out. Like Lady B said, I was putting more into it than what I was getting. And so, for example, I would text. I would call, go to voicemail, no answer, no text back, no return a call, but you're posting on Facebook. So you have time.
Mm,
You have the tools, but it's not I'm not a priority. Okay. And then I'm taking my friend, she actually had moved out of state, which is fine. That's great. Clearly, I'm not talking about Lady B, I'm talking about somebody else, but clearly out of state don't make a difference. Friends are friends. But she moved out of state and her mother was still here in North Carolina and going through some health things. And I'm taking my family, my husband, and my newborn to go visit your mom. So I'm invested. Like, I'm your girl, I'm your friend. Like, what do you need? And it just was not reciprocated. So I said, okay. I stopped reaching out and I just wished her well in my mind because we never really talked about it. We just kind of fell off with communication. But there was a grieving period. The next birthday that I had, she actually texted me, and I was so bothered, and I was sitting next to another friend. She was like, "Just text her thank you, cause she wished you had." Like, I was frustrated and flustered that my other friend that was with me had to remind me to be polite.
Mm.
So, it was a grieving process, it
Yeah.
was. And so I think that's just where it's been for a few years now. So, yeah, it's a process, it takes time.
Can I just I like Dr. DQ said something that I think triggered me a little bit because that whole part, I need closure, right?
Mm.
Like, I'm one of those
Mm.
people that need the closure. And when you have someone like a friend, especially a friend that you, because this friend that you're talking about, Dr. DQ, sounds like this was a very close
I
relationship,
know.
intimate relationship where
Mhm.
you were close to even their side, their personal family, right?
Yes.
And so it bothers me honestly when you put so much, you invest so much of your time and your energy. I'm okay with moving on. I am, but I need that closure.
Ooh.
And I feel like that is what gives you that icky feeling. That's what gives you that feeling as an adult that's like, it's hard to make friends. I don't want to make friends because you don't want to be hurt
Mhm.
anymore because you need that closure. And we don't get it. And I guess it's because we're not mature enough, like some of us, to just come and speak and just say what's on your mind because
Mm.
the one friend that I was just speaking about, I've reached out, still been praying about, like I still want to reach out because I still have love for that person, right? And that doesn't go away. So for me, then I question, well, where was I for you? Where did I fall in
Mm.
line for you? So
Again,
I'm
that's that
sorry, that
level of
just
maturity that Lady B has, and I ain't there yet, cause she ain't got no more of my time, and here Lady B is texting this person that she was friends with over 2 decades ago.
I
No,
still think about
and
her.
look, the person that I'm talking about, she's texting me, like, in one of them group texts, right?
One of them group texts.
One of them group texts, like, "That's when we used to hang out." I can't do it. So bless Lady B, I'll get there. Y'all know it's a journey for me. I tell y'all all the time. No, I'm
We
not
all
sending
on,
her
yes.
no text message.
We are
No.
all on a journey. I
I
want to
love
hit
it.
on the piece, Lady B, that you talked about as far as closure, because that is something that I probably within like the past 5 years have really have had to grapple with in the sense of we're not always going to get that. It's similar to like when you want somebody to apologize because you know that they did wrong, but we're still called to forgive them even if they don't ask for forgiveness. And
Yes,
so
girl.
that closure, and we could not get closure for a number of different reasons, but like I feel like that's where we flood in with that gospel of peace, right? Talking about the armor of God and shod your feet with the gospel of peace in the fact that, this door is closed or this thing has happened because I need you to move this way. I'm in a sense,
Mm.
God is pushing us in this way, right? So it's not
Yeah.
for us to hold on and say, what did I do or what happened or shoulda, coulda, woulda, didn't, right? Because we could even go into the part around how our inner voice will impact how we even think about that situation. Even how amazing you are, Lady B, to be like, well, what did I do to maybe contribute, right? That's like a critical voice.
Mm.
Like it's on me. I'm taking too much responsibility that this
That part.
thing
Mhm.
was because of something I said, or, I could have done more. I could have, right? As opposed
Nope.
to this objective voice that says, maybe I could have done more. I know you could have done more too. And this is where we are. It doesn't help me to sit in any type of judgment, either way, on that
Right.
person or on me. What am I going to do moving forward? Like, what did I get from this? Lord, help me to get what I'm supposed to get from this, so I can have that peace, so I can move on. So if they do send a text, I could be like, thank you. Miss you too. Let me know when
No.
you wanna link
See,
up because 'cause I'm right
you went too
here.
far. No, you went too far. I said thank you, and that was it. Ain't no miss you too. No, no.
Okay.
I didn't need closure. Her not responding to my text was the closure. So if we need to have a conversation, that's fine. But no, no, mm-mm. Because the other part of it too is that I'm not going back.
Mm, that's
I'm
good.
not going back.
That's
We
good.
can converse about it and have a conversation, but without acknowledging and having that conversation, I'm not going to set myself up to go back. So,
And even going to that maturity piece, right? There's a piece of like, what does going back look like? And I think
mhm,
there's the beauty of us being able to reflect and say, all right, Lord, in that season, this person served this purpose, or they did this for me, or
mhm. Yeah,
maybe I was this for them. And now they're past that, or I can only do so. I've done all I can
exactly.
do. Like, let me move on. But the way that the Dr. DQ said it, that thing landed like a ton of bricks. She
Yeah.
said what she said.
Standing on business. Somebody told me that today. He said, "You just keep standing on business and
Come
it'll
on.
all work out." Lord, was he being prophetic for this conversation?
And
Yes.
there it is. There it is.
Oh
I want us to
my
also
God.
think about, ladies, I love this conversation. What feels harder for you as we're thinking about, like, again, the distance happening within these spaces? Is it being left behind in the sense of like, hey, I'm reaching out and you're not engaging? Or is it being the one who outgrows? It's you that's like, listeners, if you could see Dr. DQ's face, because she said, I ain't got no problem being the one. It's a
No,
Heisman.
actually, that's harder for me.
Ooh.
Like when other people are outgrowing, I feel like I'm not keeping up, which could then
Mm.
feel like a sadness, like a depression. That's where I'm going to judge
Wow.
myself. But for me, it's actually harder
Mm.
to cut other people off because I've wrestled with it.
Mm.
I have taken my time. I have about 18 examples and reasons about why, but even still taking that machete to sever a relationship, girl,
She
I'm a
said
Cancer, okay?
machete. Run that
Because at
back.
that point, there's no in between, there's no gray. I
Yeah.
love you, it's all love,
Yeah.
but it takes a long time, and it's harder for me to cut people off because I don't like conflict.
Mhm.
I really don't. And I feel like taking the step to cut someone off or to distance myself requires, to Lady B's point, it requires some sort of communication. And I am uncomfortable. I don't like initiating that type of communication. So for
Ooh.
me, that's harder.
That's good. Can you repeat that question again?
Yeah, like, what feels harder? Is it being left behind or being the one who outgrows and leaves others behind?
So I'm going to speak to both, but I will say, I think what's harder is the outgrowing
Mm.
people. I don't think that I've ever left a friend behind. And if I did, and you're
No
listening,
person left behind. She said, everybody
we
can come with me.
just, when I think about my friends over the years, I probably should have left people behind, but
Mm.
I'm one of those people. And it's not about not having conflict. I just feel like they start to just fade, right? It just fades away, slowly away. But they're still on my mind.
Mm.
Like I still go through thinking about friends who I haven't talked to in years. I still want to connect. When I talk to them on the phone, I genuinely care. So I don't feel like I've ever been the person to like want to do that. However, I can say as a woman of faith and on my journey, this feels a lot different. I feel like I'm leaving people behind, or rather, they might be like, "No, we need to let her go because this ain't this not the
Listen.
lifestyle that we are about." I would say that I have seen just changes just as I grow in my faith or my journey to grow closer to God, to be obedient to Him, to be in alignment, all those things. I have felt the shift, right? I have felt the shift where I'm like, ooh, no, I need to step away. Like, this is not where there was one thing that happened with me and some friends where I thought, could still go out. I could go and enjoy the club or the
Come on, be
bar
outside.
and be outside and have a good time, right? Because in my heart of hearts, like, I still like to have fun. I like
Yes.
to dance,
That
right? I
old you,
still
that old version of you. Yes,
that
be outside.
old version of me. And when I was in that space, listeners, I will tell you, God spoke so clearly and said, "No, no, B, this ain't you. No,
Nah, B.
no, this is not it." And, a part of me, I was like, "Am I getting too old?" And it's
No,
just, no, it just,
no.
the taste is not in my mouth anymore. It changed,
Ooh.
right? That feeling that I used to have when a good song come on. I mean,
Juvenile?
the environment with all the people that's sweating and
Yeah.
dancing, like,
Yeah.
that's just not for me anymore. I very much enjoy community, and I very much enjoy in-depth conversations one-on-one or in small groups, and I still would love to, hang out, party, listen to music, but the outside piece, the quote unquote outside, I have learned that shift, that's when I have outgrown some friends, and they have stopped inviting me to places.
And that's all right. That's all right.
They
You
got the
know,
memo.
They clearly got it. Look, I'll be scrolling like, "Oh, they're without me. I didn't even get an invite."
mm,
And, to
that's
God be the
okay.
glory, I guess.
Okay, listen, to God be the glory. You know what? I Something you said, Lady Bay, made me think and write down commitment. Because I actually, when I do some of my strategic facilitations, I talk about commitment and I talk about it being an unwavering intention. It's objective. And we distort it in the sense of, and I actually use the example of my marriage. I tell people that I am committed to my husband, Antoine Charles Silas Tinker. Y'all met him way back in the early season one, and not necessarily my marriage. And people be like, "What?" And I'm like, "Let me tell you, because people will be in toxic relationships and they're like, "Well, I'm married and that's my boo, or I'm committed to them." If you were committed to them, then you would be able to have discernment to say that us together ain't good. It's not healthy. It's not whatever, right? So if we were, God forbid, to separate or not be together, I'm still committed to you. I still have an unwavering intention for your health, for your safety, for you're the father of my children, right? So I'm committed to you as a person. And we will sometimes commit to a relationship, but not the person. We can separate and I can still pray for you. I can still check in on you. I can still check in on your family when I hear that things are going, when there's stress or challenges there. But my commitment don't have to be to this thing, this friendship. And so that's what's holding for me because I am quick to let people. So long, bye 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 bye. I need all up in here. I'll be like, bye. It was great knowing you for 3 years, 7 years, whatever. We don't need to be friends no more. Bye. I will say maybe I will be challenged with having that conversation, right? Because it just feels, you think about when you're in a committed like relationship with a partner, it's like we have to talk. I can't just be like, I'm moving out. Like, but with friendships, it feels different. So I could think back to some friendship conversations where I was like, it's just different. So I'll see you when I see you. I've maybe had like 2 conversations like that in my life, but I'm I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. Because maybe I hold on to the piece that like I can still be committed to you as a person. I still want well for you. I still hope well for you.
Yeah, you still gonna cheer from the background, cheer from the
Yeah.
sidelines.
Fist bump all day. All day. So I love this conversation, y'all, because we're noticing that friendships shift after major life transitions, moving out of states, marriage, kids, healing, spiritual growth, when our knees don't do like they used to do no more, all the things when we okay, that's
That's
real.
what it was.
That's
I
what it
can't I can't drop it anymore. So they was like, "Girl, cut
Can't
her."
drop down and get your eagle on, can you?
Can do
No,
that.
ain't no eagle. Ain't none. And that some relationships they were built on history, right? Or they were built on, again, past versions of ourselves and not necessarily shared direction or alignment as far as where we want to go. And that can be uncomfortable, especially if you still love someone, if you still care for someone. but don't have that connection as you used to in the past. So that's a part of our work, right? As we think about where we're growing in our faith and what we're doing, that's a part of our work. How do we reconcile that? How do we work towards building group and friends that are going to be in on one accord with us, right? And that are going to walk with us, that are in the same direction, even just for a season, because this is likely going to happen again and again and again.
You know what? There was something I used to, I don't recall if it was Dr. Blair or Dr. DQ that said it, but the phrase "we stay connected out of obligation," that really sits with me because I start to think about how often we're confusing this loyalty piece that we have to friends versus responsibility, our responsibility to ourselves. And I think while of course friendships and relationships they matter, but there comes a point where we have to ask ourselves the hard question, am I still nurturing this relationship because there's a genuine, like, connection there? Because I'm thinking about Dr. DQ, how she's giving, and no one else is it's a one-sided relationship. So,
Mhm.
are you nurturing that relationship or are you carrying it because you feel guilty? And sometimes we do. I think we do carry these relationships just because we feel guilty because I know this person for 10, 20 years.
Mhm.
We had our babies together with you supposed to be the auntie of my
Yes.
child, the
ETT.
godparents. And you have to say goodbye, right? And I've definitely, like we talked about, we've all seen it, and it's you get the flags, you get the warning signs, and I think that those are the things that we start to not even think about or become aware. But it just made me think about sometimes when I'm in conversations with people and that conversation feels forced, right? And you could just feel that connection is just not there. But so again, we stay connected just out of obligation. When we are looking specifically scripture, I personally I don't see God preserving every single relationship. We don't see that in the Bible where he's preserving all the friendships, all the relationships. We see God stewarding the relationships for a
Mhm.
purpose. They have a purpose. There were people who walked with Jesus for a season, right? And then they moved into various directions. And there were seasons where Paul, in the Bible, he was partnered up with certain people as well. And then later, he continued on his journey without them. So there you see, it's clear and evident in the Bible, that you're going to be in those relationships and walk with people for a cause, for a certain reason, for a
Mm.
certain purpose that God has ordained. And that relationship is not always expected to be the same. But what will remain is the obedience, is
Amen.
being in alignment. And I think that that's important because sometimes we assume growth means holding on to everything, right? Holding on to those relationships, those phone calls, those phone conversations, the besties, the t-shirts and matching things. You're holding on to those memories. But God often grows us by teaching us what we need to let go of.
Man.
We all heard it that people are here for a season. And you have to honor that because God is really creating and establishing you as a new creature in Him, as a new disciple as you continue to grow closer to Him. He will, like I said earlier, He will take that taste out of your mouth. And I
Yes.
think some of us are, we are grieving friendships. We are grieving even if it's relationships in your own families because we are trying to force something to stay alive that God never asked us to carry into the next season of our life. And it's not because the person's bad, right? We haven't, well, I don't know, Dr. DQ, about your person, but
No, she ain't bad. Girl, bye, keep that in there. She ain't bad.
Oh, you're worthy.
So, not because the person is bad, but and it's not because you're better or you're better
Mhm.
than that person. And it's not because you've outgrown them, but it's because growth will change things. Time changes things. People change. Your values change. Your
Yes.
boundaries change. Hello, I just did a priorities exercise with my husband, and our priorities have shifted in the span over a year.
Wow.
So, and then the capacity in which you're able to hold and maintain that also changes. And sometimes that means your friendship will change too. The hard part is accepting that change without creating a story that somebody failed. Maybe the friendship has served its purpose. Maybe what God is inviting you into is not resentment. Maybe, just maybe, it's gratitude. And it's gratitude for what it was because, oh my gosh, I have such great memories, right, from past relationships that I will forever cherish. Maybe there's gratitude for what you've learned. We've all learned what to do, what not to do from past relationships. Or it could be gratitude for what the relationship gave you. And enough trust in God to believe that releasing access is not the same thing as dishonoring that relationship. So I'm just going to say that, today maybe God's invitation is not to hold tighter, right? It's okay. Let that grip hold, let it
Mm.
loosen up a little bit.
Got that baby
Maybe
grip. You know when the baby used to hold on
that
to you?
baby, they hold on to that finger. Maybe you're holding on to this relationship, this
Mhm.
friendship that you feel obligated to, but it's okay to just to stop carrying the guilt for a friendship that has changed, that has
Mm.
evolved. It was to bless you.
Mhm.
It was to bless what that relationship was. You can also honor what it was and to trust God for what's next. He will send you new friends. He will send you new relationships. He will put you in a place where you are pouring into other people. Like I can give a whole testimony, but we're not going to do that. We're going to say that for another time. But every friendship is not meant to last forever in the same form. So I want everyone just to keep that as a reminder. I can tell you, like, I've been friends with these ladies for years and it has evolved. It has changed. We have had many phone calls. We went without talking. And still the love hasn't changed and the commitment to one another hasn't changed, but it will continue to take different forms. And every friendship can still have its value.
And, I just wanna add, Lady B, to that potentially through your transition as far as friendships are concerned, maybe God is revealing to you what a good friend looks like and what a good friend is. I think about even just my conversations with my children, and I'll ask them, like, "What's a good friend? You calling this person your best friend, what does that mean?" You have to experience friendships in order to have an understanding of what a good friend looks like, what you are and who you are as a good friend. So that's a piece of kind of figuring out where you might be right now. If this conversation has really been tugging at you, you may be wondering if you're grieving the friendship, if you're grieving who you were in the friendship, if you're just grieving just being outside, because maybe you got a newborn in your lap right now while you're listening to this podcast and you're like, I just want to go back to the old me. I want to be. I do want to be outside. My knees are still good. You may not be able to completely relate to that, but it's important that we recognize what our internal scripts are, what our internal messaging is about those transitions. Relationships may not look the same to you right now. They may have a different value, as Lady B said, a different understanding because your priorities have changed, because your faith has changed, because your capacity is consistently shifting. So now you're wondering if growing means you're leaving behind good people or people that you're supposed to hold on to. So that's that level of kind of guidance that you can be seeking from God right now. Before you rush to or force trying to get things back to what they were, I want you to sit with these questions. Am I grieving the person or am I grieving the role they used to play in my life? Because those aren't the same thing. And it's important that we differentiate that as we think about what our next steps are.
So here's the question that I think is outlining everything we've talked about. so far in this episode. And that's, what friendship are you holding on to out of guilt instead of alignment or growth or progress? What are you trying to preserve that God actually might be asking you to release and let go of? And what would it look like to honor the relationship without forcing it to stay what it used to be? It made me think about when Fantasia won the Idol.
Ooh.
Who was that? Her brother, her cousin was like, "You ain't been the same towards me since you won the Idol."
Yeah.
Like, we
You done
progress, we
changed.
grow. Yeah, yeah. It's okay for things to grow and evolve. That means us as people and our relationships. So if you are prepared to do a little bit of reflection, here's a couple of things for you to think about as you journal this week. Where have I felt friendship shift but resisted identifying that or calling it a shift? What am I afraid would happen if I acknowledge that change? And what does alignment look like in my relationships right now? So,
Okay.
as you think, as you reflect, as you evaluate your friendships, you are going to figure out what your yes is this week. And your yes might not be so much an action as it is a moment of honest reflection. So, yes, you recognize the relationship has changed. Yes, you realize that you don't have to force that same level of closeness. Yes, you can love people without requiring or giving that same level of access.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So maybe your yes this week is honestly just giving yourself permission to stop feeling guilty, to acknowledge the growth, and to be okay with it.
Yeah.
Because that's a part of life, and that's how you get to your next blessing.
That's good. And I really hope that you all jump in and try to do some reflection because I think that these journal prompts are amazing. And it has me, already thinking about the alignment piece. What does alignment look like in my current relationships? And so that's good. Thank you, Dr. DQ. So, if this
Can I add? I want to add to y'all's next steps because I really love that Dr. DQ said, kind of take into consideration what does alignment look like in your relationships right now. I would dare say, like, write a list and put a line right down in the middle at the top of your page. Maybe write down your dreams, your wish, your aspiration, the direction that you're going right now and just make a list of your friends, not to say that whoever end up on one side you're gonna let go of, but figure out which of your friends are in alignment with where you're going right now in life, the direction that you are in. And for some of you, depending on your direction, it may not be where God wants you to go. So as you're looking at your list, and if you're writing down people that are aligned, yeah, this is the girl I go out with, this is who I kick it with, this is who I call when I'm ready to, I know they're gonna have my back and they gonna roll up with me. That's the list to look at. Because is that direction where you're supposed to be going? So it can work in a lot of different ways for you. But I literally wrote down for myself to write a list and just to really discern which people are in my life that are in alignment with where I'm trying to go, where I am right now, where God has situated me. Because I think that could be so, so powerful in any direction.
And I've seen people do that. Now, usually it's around election time when they try
Mm,
to see who voted. Were you in the
that's
92% or
real.
no? You know what I'm saying? Like, they be like, "Oh, time to clean my Facebook friend
Yeah.
list and personal," they do that. So it kind of mirrors the same
Ooh,
process.
I love
It is a
it.
process because I do that I also do that during election time, but people they sneaky because it's somebody just 6, 9 months ago where I was like, "You done skated this long and I didn't know who you were. Now I see it. Okay, let me hide you. Let me unfriend you." But that's real. That's a good one.
Well, I love y'all. So, if this conversation hit something deep and personal for you, you are not alone in it. A lot of people are quietly navigating this friendship shift, right? The friendship shifts that they don't fully know how to name it. Like I can't quite put my finger on this, but something feels off. And we just want to remind you you are not wrong for growing. In fact, we want you to grow. You're not wrong for noticing that things have changed. We want you to be aware. So do that journaling prompt. So we definitely hope that this episode gave you language for what you've been feeling. We ask that you share it with someone who might need it too. And if this space is helping you to grow, we ask you to follow, rate, and review the YesWork podcast.
Yes.
Season 2 is our time for engagement. We are excited about the future of season 2 with new guests, new engagement opportunities. And so, if there is a question or a topic that you want discussed, share it with us. We want to hear. Email us at yesworkpodcast@gmail.com. We're grateful that you're here, that you've listened to us because we're all learning how to grow without abandoning what we once loved and felt close to. And as always, we'll see you next time and keep saying yes to this work.
Yes. Yes, work.
Bye.